Downsy, mate, we can't hear you. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, hello. Sorry. Hello. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. I don't know why I got muted there. I hope that's not happened for the majority of the video. Anyway, so like I say, in terms of the fact that we went it was a 4-1 defeat on the final day. Sort of summed up Town's season as a whole, really. And looking back on the season, should we have sacked Michael Duff? I wasn't in favour of that. I made that quite plain on the channel that I wasn't in favour of that. I think we should have kept him. And yeah, in terms of looking back on the season, it's just, I'm glad it's over. I don't know about you guys, but let's get some comments in. Blue Terrier 19, League One again, ole ole. Yeah, very good. And yeah, sorry lads, I can't, in terms of the people that couldn't hear me. Obviously you can now, so sorry about that. But yeah, let's crack on with the rest of the video now that you can hear me. Yeah, sorry, Keel. I don't know why that was, but anyway, you can hear me now. That's the main thing. I spoke to a supporter outside the ground who's a usual watcher of the show, called John. Said he'd been supporting the club since the 60s. Seen over the good and the bad, really. And it was very nice to meet you, John, outside the ground, if you are watching now. And he said it was the worst Town side that he'd seen in the history of his time supporting the club. I mean, that takes some going, doesn't it? Let's be honest. The fact that we've gone down to the 4th division, League Two, we've been down there, and this is the worst football that you've seen from a Town side. It's to be honest, like, that just says it all. Right, let's get into some ratings. Yeah, start again, Keo. Yeah, I will. So from obviously, I was on about the Leyton Orient game yesterday. Obviously, you couldn't hear me from the beginning. So we lost 4-1. It was a terrible day, for being honest. Look at the goals that we conceded. The first one was a poor pass from Josh Caroma. I don't actually know what he's trying to do, to be honest, when he passes it back. He's not even looked at where Chapman is. And the pass is like 60 yards from his own goal. So I don't really know what he's trying to do there. Obviously, Hoggy tried to get his head up. And Caroma did score, very fortunately, obviously, before half-time. The second goal, I don't know what Chapman's doing, to be honest. Matty Pearson pushes him in the back. But Chapman could have done a lot more for the second goal. We obviously then get a fortunate goal, like I said. The Leighton Orient lad heads it off onto Karoma's head and it sort of loops in. And then the third, in the second half, I thought we would have come back after that. When we got that goal, there was a bit of positivity around the ground. And then after half time, they score within another couple of minutes and get the third goal. And that's kind of it. Fourth goal sort of summed up everything about our season, really. Just sloppy, Herbie Kane not fit enough to get back. Tried to lunge. Could have been a nasty tackle, actually, on the Leighton Orient lad. And their quality with the cross, it is a quality cross. But I think Chapman could have saved it or done a bit better, to be honest. And that rounded off what a terrible season it was. Obviously, the main part yesterday was giving Hoggy his send-off, which was nice. I think he got a standing ovation by everybody. Obviously, I don't know if you guys were at the end of the game or if some of you were, but I stayed just to watch what the reception was going to be. Hoggy got clapped round the ground and the rest of the players got booed. And why am I surprised? I am not surprised about that. I think they know that they've let the supporters down over the season. We expected a lot better. That's what we were expecting. We were expecting to get at least a playoff place, and we didn't get that. I've obviously you couldn't hear me at the start of the video, but what I was saying is I'm going to go through each player one by one. I have given them a rating across the season. Obviously, you won't be surprised to hear that the ratings are not high, if we're honest. So let's get into it. I've got the goalkeepers first. So obviously across the season, we've had Chapman, Maxwell, and Lee Nichols. Chapman has, played a number of games. I think he's done all right. I think he has made errors. You probably remember the one at Blackpool. Made an error for that. In terms of his overall game, look, he's a better distributor than Nichols. I think that is quite clear. Yesterday, apart, he did kick one straight out of play, which was, I don't really know how he did that, to be honest. And in terms of Maxwell, obviously he's not, I think he played, 3 games? Obviously he's had this heart trouble and he's had to retire from football, very sad. But I know it might seem a low rating, but we just haven't seen a lot of him, and he has been a backup keeper. So hopefully, he goes into sort of whatever he wants to do for the rest of his career, and he's really successful. But in terms of this season, he's been a good backup keeper, but didn't really deserve more than a 3. I think Chapman 6 is fair for Chapman. Like I said, made some errors, but overall, I think he's a decent keeper. He sometimes he flaps a bit, but obviously keepers get better with age, don't they? By the way, if you want to sort of disagree with me on any of these ratings, then please do say in the comments. Lee Nichols, I gave a 5. Again, not the best season for Nichols, obviously being out with injury, like half of this squad, to be honest. I think he will move on in the summer. I wouldn't renew his contract. I think it's time for a change. And, in terms of where I think the goalkeeping positions lie, I think we need 2 new goalkeepers. Or at least one. I think Chapman's fine, but then you needed a one really in there. So that's what I'm going with. Then we look at the next one. These aren't in order, by the way, because they've not gone into order, unfortunately, in the slides. But we go here to the defenders: Miller, Spencer, and Turton. I've given Miller a 5. I think he obviously he's injury prone, but he's I think he's a good player, isn't he? Let's be honest. He gets good crosses in. I think if we'd have had him at fullback for the majority of the campaign, we'd have probably done a bit better. And I think he does put a lot of effort in, doesn't he? But overall, obviously with the injuries, couldn't give him more than a 5. Spencer, I think he deserved a 6. He's made some errors, against Charlton and the like. He can be a bit hot-headed. He does make some fantastic challenges, though, particularly. So I think 6 is fair for Spencer. Obviously, he's still a young player, isn't he? He's got plenty of improvement in him. I think we need to decide whether he's a full-back or a centre-back, though, to be quite honest. And I don't think anybody's worked that out yet. So hopefully next season we can, depending on who we sign, obviously, hopefully, we can have a more defined position for him, because he has been played in a number of different positions over the back line. Turton, I think Turton is, a solid professional, but again, he's one of them players that, he's not been good enough this season, has he? And I know he has played more of a bit part role, a bit like Josh Ruffles, but I think overall, just not the quality that we've needed. Again, played centre back, played full back for us, scored that one goal, if you remember, earlier on in the season. So I think Turton, he's, he needs to move on. Another one that's out of contract. I wouldn't renew his contract, and let's get somebody else in. So so that was that's part of the defence. Who we got next? So the next defenders lot is Bolker, Ruskin, Lees, and Lomvik. Bolker centre back again. I can't give more than a 4 because of the fact that he's been injured. If I'm being completely honest, I do think he could be a top class centre back, particularly at our level, but he's just too injury prone. I mean, again, we saw at home a couple of weeks ago. He got a bit of a tap on the ankle and he had to go off, and he hasn't finished the season. Spent a lot of money on him. Just not what we need in League One. You need tough, big centre backs, and whilst he's very good on the ball, and he has got a little bit of pace about him, probably the quickest centre back we've got. Again, not what we need in terms of being too brittle and just not cut out for League One football. Ruskin, I think we brought in the January. He's played well in the games that I've seen him. He does have a bit of quality, and 5 I think was fair. Again, like Miller, if we'd have had him for the majority of the season, you can see that there is a real player in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him next season. Obviously, didn't have the best of starts at Town when he got first, he sent off in his debut. But 5 was fair play, and I think that's I can't really give more than a 5. He's only been here 6 months, and he has been injured in that time as well. But a player that I would like to see more often and get going next season. Lomvik on loan from Wolves, 3 for Lomvik. Obviously he's one of them players that you could discuss about trying to bring in permanently. I personally wouldn't. I think he's again had injury problems. He's looked ponderous and slow on the football. Obviously he's one of them centre backs that likes to play. But I think overall, a 3 is fair, to be honest. And I don't think many people will be giving him more than that. There could be a player in there. I know Kane's not that keen. But again, just injury prone. Tom Lees, solid professional. Being added injury problems, getting on a bit now. A bit like Matty Pearson, which I'm sure we'll come on to. 5 because again he's been solid. He's not made many errors, but he doesn't add goals up there like the other centre backs do in what we had in Hellick, and obviously Matty Pearson does have that ability to add goals from corners. Again, another player that's out of contract that I wouldn't renew personally. Let's go to the next one. So we've got Ruffles, Sorensen, and Matty Pearson. Josh Ruffles, a bit like Turton, really. solid professional, not done anything wrong, but not spectacular. And, we need better than him, really, if we want to push on next season to try and get promoted out of League One. Like I say, he's been a good servant for Town in terms of his professionalism behind the scenes, it seems, from what the managers have been saying. Doesn't cause any sort of ripples or anything like that. So 5, I think, is fair. But we need better than him going into next season for sure. And hopefully we can do again another player out of contract that I wouldn't renew. Sorensen, 4, we bought him from Lincoln City. I think everybody was expecting that he was going to be a lot better than what he has been. He's had his injury problems. He's never been injured before. Comes to Town and gets injured. That's just the part of the course, isn't it, these days? So, I think there is a player in there, again, with a good pre-season, which he did have at the beginning of this season, and he looked decent. But then as the season's gone on, he's just lost confidence, and with his injury problems, he's not got back to anywhere near his early season form, and therefore he's deserved a 4. Needs to improve and needs to come back stronger next season and really fight for the place at Town. Matty Pearson, given a 5. Again, he's been there this season and he has put effort in. The last couple of weeks has shown that he's obviously disappointed with how the campaign's gone. Not coming to clap over the fans and stuff like that. I think that's been one of his downfalls sometimes. That he has had these moments against the supporters. So in terms of Pearson, I'd go 5, and again, he's a player out of contract. Would I renew his contract? No, I wouldn't. I'd release him. Obviously, at the end of the video, I've done a list to say who we should keep and who I think we should move on, and where I think we need to sign players. Alexander said about Helic. I've only scored the people that are still here. Alexander, how would I sort of rate Helic's performance? Probably a 6. He scored goals when he was here this season and defended all right. Again, none of the players are really getting above 5 or 6s, to be honest. There's only one in this entire squad list that I've given above a 6. So yeah, I'd say 6 for Helic. But again, because he's not here any longer, I've not sort of put him in this video. Right, let's move on to the midfield. Joe Hodge, IP Ender, or Yorp Ender, sorry, and Evans. Given them all a 3 for very different reasons. Hodge on loan from Wolves. You could say he's been the best loan signing. Do I think he's worth trying to permanently get? I mean, with Hoggy going out, you could say he maybe is. Would he want to come? Probably would want to look for a move to a different club to have another experience. So I will go 3 for Joe Hodge. I wouldn't have him back. Tom Yorpender come out of the academy. Obviously, we thought at the start of the season, he played a number of pre-season friendlies and even started some games in the league. And we thought, it might be a breakthrough season for the lad. But as the season's gone on, it's just he's just not been able to get in the side. He has had an injury, which has kept him out even B team fixtures or the academy fixtures. But yeah, he's obviously still one for the future. I couldn't give him more than a 3 because of he's not played. And I did think Worthy would have given him the last 2 games, but he's been on the bench and he came on, I think, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes yesterday against Leyton Orient. Didn't really do anything, but the game was already gone by that stage anyway. So yeah, Tom Yorpender, 3. Evans, I've given Evans a 3. Bought from Bristol Rovers, highly rated their player of the season last season. Do I think he's performed to the standards that we would have expected to bring a player like him in. No, not at all. I was excited when we brought Evans in. I thought, from everything that Bristol Rovers fans had said about him, his quality on the ball, his set piece delivery, his ability to sort of get around the pitch. I was expecting a lot more from Anthony Evans, and I know he's had this toe problem. I think the club need to get that sorted. I don't know I think he's having an operation on it, but hopefully with a full pre-season again, I think that's majorly important for somebody like Anthony Evans. To have a full proper pre-season, and really get up to speed early on. We saw at Peterborough away in the very first game, what he could have done with Ben Wiles and Herbie Kane. But yeah, just again, a player that has just not lived up to standard. Let's move on to the next lot. We've got Terriers, Kane, and Kasumu. Terriers again on loan from Wolves. Pretty standard now for over Wolves lot to get 3 in the squad. Again, not a player I'd bring back. He's not really made any difference since we brought him in. Tricky player, can play at number 10 or anywhere across the front, but runs down sort of, and this is going to be funny to some of you that watch the show regularly. He runs down blind alleys. He doesn't, create the amount of chances that you would hope a player like he does. And so I'm giving him a 3, really. I think that's fair enough. Herbie Kane, not being fit, had his injury problems all season, never looked fit. Obviously, that was a problem from coming from Barnsley, where Barnsley fans, always said that he wasn't really the fittest midfield player, and that's proven the case here. Michael Duff, his old manager, signed him, and even Duff couldn't get the best out of him. So I don't really know where Herbie Kane goes from here. Needs a proper good pre-season. Needs to get fit, and needs to perform a lot better on the pitch, because he can be a quality player at League One level, but we've just not seen it. Kasumu, a good player again, or can be a good player, good effective player. Had his injuries again, but he's done a little bit more than Herbie Kane, and that's why I think he deserves a 4. Realistically, would Cass get in my team next year? I don't know. It depends if we bring any more midfielders in. But I think overall, 4 is probably worthy. Right, let's move on to. Have we got any more midfielders in this list? I think they're all forwards. Oh no, we've got Hoggy and Ben Wiles. So Hoggy, 5, shouldn't have played as much as he has this season, but as a Warrior, town legend, he's performed. Well, I wouldn't say to the best of his abilities, but he's definitely performed to as much as what anybody else has in the squad. Obviously, he got his day yesterday where we all said goodbye. Very, very emotional. I've watched the lad for 12 years, and he's never not tried when he's put the shirt on. I don't think anybody can say effort and determination has not been there with Johnny Hogg sometimes, and he's admitted this himself. The quality might not have been there, the precision might not have been there, and he might not have been as effective as what he would hope in some fixtures. But overall, you just can't argue with buying a lad from Watford for £400,000, and 12 years later he's still at the football club. Works out around about £33,000 a year. I mean, that's unheard of in football these days at any sort of professional level, if we're being honest. Thanks very much, Johnny, for all you've done. And whether you stay in a coaching position or you go and play somewhere else, could I see him go to somewhere like Bradford? Yeah, well, I could. it'd be sort of like, obviously, there's a few City fans that are watching this stream, clearly, because they've been in the comments, and they've said, obviously they'll be hoping to do well in League One next year. Would City fans take Hogg? It'd be an interesting question, and one I'm sure I'll ask maybe Gaz tomorrow on the roundtable chat. Ben Wiles, again, I thought Ben would have been a player this season that we would have kicked on and would have been a major player in League One, and it's just not worked. And I think, it's sad really, because you'd think that Ben Wiles had performed a lot better this year. Being a major player in the team. He's had great spells. He has had good games, but he's also had some terrible fixtures. And overall, the consistency from the lad has just not been good enough. So I've had to give a 3. Right, let's go on to some centre forwards. Sorry. So we've got Joe Taylor, Danny Ward, and Charles. So Taylor came in January. Obviously, people have got that 3 million price tag in their head. I don't think it was quite 3 million, but there we are. That's what the media purporting to say. So yeah, Joe Taylor, 4, scored his goal at Blackpool. Runs around a lot, but I don't really. We aren't playing to his strengths, and therefore, 4 is probably all right. He could have got less. I'm sure some supporters would have given him less. Let's be honest. But yeah, 4 is where I'm at with Taylor. Needs to have a stunning season next season to help us get firing. Up into higher places in League One. So yeah, we need Joe Taylor to be good next season. Hopefully, he will have a great pre-season and be able to get rocking and rolling. Danny Ward, again, good servant to the football club, but and we've paid him well, but yeah, I can't give more than a 1. We've just not seen him. He's just been injured all season. Yeah. I mean, the most memorable thing he's done this year is being sent off against Rotherham. So, what else am I supposed to do? Yeah, so giving him a 1. Dion Charles, 3. Again, come from Bolton, 750 grand. Did I expect more? Absolutely. Has he underperformed? Absolutely. Has he underwhelmed yet? Not scored this season so far, and he's missed some big chances. Let's be honest. He's, the games against, I think it was Lincoln at home, he missed a big chance. I think he played at Wigan away, missed a big chance. So he's missed some big chances this season and needs to perform better next season for sure. Obviously, there's all the off-field stuff that I think was a storm in the teacup, really, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm giving Charles a 3. Doesn't deserve more than that, really. We've got Freddie Ladapo, 2. I mean, goes down as one of the worst strikers I've seen at the football club. So, 2. I will get rid of him. Definitely. Just pay him off. Karoma, I've given a 5 because he's actually scored goals, but would I renew his contract? No, I wouldn't. I think again need to move him on. Reece Healy, 1. Again, a bit like Danny Ward, not seen the lad. So to me, we just need to get rid of him, pay him off as quickly as we can. And Marshall, I've given a 7 to Marshall because I think, for an 18, 19-year-old lad to come in from West Ham and perform the way he has, I think has been terrific. I would say he's sort of been the best of a bad bunch. He's the only player in this entire squad I've given a 7 to. Some people might say a 7's too generous, by the way, which is fine. But I think from an 18-year-old, like I said, 19-year-old lad coming from West Ham for his first sort of real Football League season. I know he was on loan last season at various places, but I think to be the standout player, to win the Blue and White Foundation's Player of the Season, says a lot about him, and I think he will go on to have a good career. Would I try and sign Marshall permanently? I don't know. It's a difficult one, that, because it depends what type of system you play. And I think we need a different type of centre forward to what he offers. So, probably let him go back to West Ham, and they'll probably loan him out somewhere else. So the final sort of sheet I've got to show you is this one, where I've put keep, move on, and must sign. So keep, we've got Charles, Kane, Sorensen, Evans, Kasumu, Bolker, Ruskin, Chapman, Iapenda, Taylor, Miller, Spencer, and Eccleston. They're all under contract anyway. I don't think they're going anywhere, if I'm being completely honest. Then to move on, I would obviously Hodge is going, Lombike is going back, Chirea and Marshall therefore are going back. I wouldn't sign them permanently. We know about Hogg, he's moving on unless the new manager, whoever it is, wants to sign him back. And then we've got Maxwell, he's retired. And then there's Tom Lees, Matty Pearson, Turton, Ruffles, Karoma, Ward, Nichols, Healy, Radulovic, and Ladapo. I would move all them on, including your players like Hudlin, and the sort of lads that are in there. In terms of from the academy, there'll be a lot of academy lads that I would suspect that's moving on from the retained list as well. But it's quite a big list. I don't think we'll probably get rid of all of them, but I think we need to try. I think this is the season where we need the biggest clear out. What would you do with Sorba? That's a good question, Blue Teddy 19. Thanks very much for asking. What would I do with Sorba? I don't think he'll come back. I have this feeling I don't think he'll come back. I think we'll try and move him on to get some money. Again, it depends what mind frame he's in. I don't see him being in a mind frame where he's wanting to come back to a League One team to battle for promotion. So I will personally cash in on him. I don't think we'll get a lot of money, by the way, but I think probably best to just part ways and try and get somebody else in. What do you think, Blue Teddy? Would you keep him? You wouldn't keep Bolker. Can't trust him to stay fit. No, I get that. I do get that, but I think we haven't got a choice with him, to be honest. Would I get rid of him? Yes, but we haven't got a choice because he's under contract and it'd take a lot to pay him off. Michael Bottomley says Callum Marshall, Player of the Season for Town, rightly deserved. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that one. So let's go on to the list there, the final list where I've put must sign. I think we need to sign 4 centre backs. Centre backs being a proper issue this year, and if we're getting rid of Tom Lees and Matty Pearson as well. So I think we need four good centre backs, solid centre backs, with a bit of height, a bit of something about them. I think we need 1 centre mid. With Hoggy going anyway, I think we need to replace him. We need 1 centre attacking mid. We need somebody with a proper, creative player. We haven't got any creative players in our midfield, so we need somebody who can, create a bit of magic. We need 2. I'll put right back, left back. What I mean is, we need at least 2 fullbacks. We've got Miller, we've got Ruskin, we've got Sorensen. You need at least 1 more, and then 1 more as backup, particularly if Ruffles and Turton are going. So I think we need 2 fullbacks and 2 strikers. Get rid of Ladapo, get rid of Radulovic, get rid of Healy, get rid of Ward. That's 4 off your book. Hudlin's 5. Kean Harrott, we've already got rid of, so that was a 6th. So we'd only have Charles Taylor. Karoma's I'd get rid of. So So we need 2 strikers as well. So you're looking at what there, 6, 8, 10 signings. Probably won't make 10 signings, but we need. I think we need it to have any chance of doing something next season. So yeah, so those are my squad thoughts. Please do get your thoughts in yourself, and let's hope for a better season next season. Obviously, there's still lots to be discussed regarding the manager. There is a feeling that we might have a director of football in place, but obviously nothing's been announced yet. There keeps being rumours that's happened. Manager wise, I am sticking to what I said. I think Rob Edwards would be good, but I know a lot of people would like to see David Wagner back. I think the club would like to see David Wagner back in terms of selling season tickets. I still maintain that we need a director of football in before we get a manager, because you need to get a plan. We need a plan for next season. We haven't got a plan in place, and it is worrying. We are behind the 8 ball as it currently stands. Clubs are getting preparing for next season already. Those that have known where they're going to finish are already looking at what they want to sign. Obviously, Luton, Cardiff, and Plymouth are joining us next season. Luton are in a mess. Some people are predicting, I know the lads are thinking that Luton are going to do well next season. They're thinking that Plymouth will do well next season as well. I'm not so sure on Luton. I think Plymouth will. I think Luton have a bit of a culture shock like we've had. That there's a lot wrong there. Cardiff, I don't see having the money really to back their manager to go on a run. But you never know. League One has thrown up some surprises with Wickham this season. Let's have a look if we've got any more comments. Blue Tennis says about Sober, if he wants to stay, I'd let him, but if he wants to leave, I wouldn't stop him. Yeah, that's a fair comment. Yeah, I probably would go along with that. You will want to see 6 wingers to that list. 6 wingers. So 16 signings then, Blue Tennis. That's what we're going for. Jed, evening. Steve, Sorensen, you can't bloody tackle, mate. Well, yeah, that is a good point, Jed. But again, because he's in contract, I don't think we're going to get rid of him. To be honest, we've only just bought him, so let's give him another season. Let's try and back the lad. Yeah. Would you sign any wingers? Yes, I would. Yes. That again, it depends on the system, doesn't it? If we get a manager like Duff again, who plays 5-3-2, you need wing backs. You don't need wingers. You need wing backs. But is it and I do agree with Kane on this when we've talked on the show. Do I like the system? No, I don't. 5-3-2. I think it doesn't suit us as a football club. Would I prefer to see us with 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, which is again my preferred system? Yes, I would prefer us to have that sort of way of thinking. So it all depends the type of manager that we bring in. If we brought Wagner back, we'd be playing 4-2-3-1. Now, currently, we don't really have the players to play a 4-2-3-1, do we? Ruskin can play wide left, but it's not his natural position. Miller can. So it'd be interesting. But yeah, we do need to sign some wingers. Let's have a look. Any more comments? Dirty A says we need to come up 2 levels just to reach rock bottom. Well, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Let's put the season into context. This is the lowest Huddersfield Town have finished since the 2007-8 season. That's the lowest. That's even before Dean Oil took over the football club. That's a long time. So Kevin needs to get things right, because you are at a crossroads now. It can either go, we can get back on track and get promoted next season and get a good squad in place with a good manager and a good director of football and have a proper plan. Or we can keep regressing and move slowly and slowly towards. I mean, I know we've finished 10th, but even more mid-table mediocrity, and we could be at this level for a very, very, very long time. So we're at a bit of a crossroads now, aren't we? Do I think it's going to improve? Listen, I think we're all very realistic and we're all very down at the moment in terms of where the season's gone. Is there always hope? Yeah, I'd like to think so. Do I think it might get better? Depends who the manager is and the director of football that we put in place. Am I confident going into next season as it stands? No, I'm not. But let's see what the summer brings. Let's see what the summer brings indeed. Obviously, it's been a very good weekend for our other West Yorkshire sides in Leeds and Bradford, so congratulations to them. Obviously, they're going to enjoy the fruits of their labour. We are having a West Yorkshire derby next season against Bradford City. I know a number of supporters will be looking forward to that. The ones that particularly support the club in the 90s, when we seem to play Bradford quite a number of times. So, yeah, listen, it's going to be a tough season next season, isn't it? It's been a tough season this season. I'm like I said at the start of the video when nobody could hear me. Again, I apologise about that. But, you know, it's been a tough old season, hasn't it? And I think we're all looking forward now to the summer off, where we don't have to think about Huddersfield Town Football Club on the pitch at least. And let's hope that Kevin does get a plan together. But yeah, let's have some positivity. Let's hope it gets better. But yeah, I know that this has been a little bit of a longer video than what probably I intended it to be. But yeah, I just wanted to round the season off with some content just around how I thought each player had done, and how I think overall the season has gone. But one thing I do want, you know, we are going to continue to do, and you know, we are going to be able to discuss the things that the club do announce. So, but thank you very much for everybody getting involved in the Sunday shows. You know, you guys really do make it, and you know, let's hope for better things ahead. But from me, go and enjoy your Sunday afternoon and the rest of your bank holiday weekend. Again, apologies about the first sort of 10 minutes or whatever there was of the video where you couldn't hear. I don't know what went on, but at least you could hear me at the end. So thanks very much again, and we'll see you very soon. Obviously, we've got the Monday show tomorrow, and you know, join the rest of the lads where I'm sure I'm sure Brownie, Jay, and Gaz will be very happy. And I'll probably add my 2 pence into. But for now, I've been Stephen Downs, and see you next season, and also see you in about a week's time. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.